computer. Okay, and we'll start with the slides. So we'll do a little bit of recap and then we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay.
Om.
All right, I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, good. Can you all hear me properly? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking
so
at
that the volume is good. Oh, Monali joined with the camera. Did we get everyone? Let's make sure we greeted everyone.
Do you want to say which mantra we are doing?
Okay, so today, yeah. So today's mantra or today's verse is Nasti Buddhira Yuktasya Nacha Yuktasya Nacha Bhavaya. Well, okay. So just to recap a little bit, Arjuna had asked that how can I, Krishna says that you will be, if you attain this samadhi or this practical intelligence, this platform of practical intelligence, then you'll be totally disinterested in the fleeting desires that roam your mind. So basically, you'll be able to focus on the spiritual goal. And then Arjuna says, how is that? Or why is that? Because Krishna says, you'll be satisfied from within your soul. You'll not be aggravated by pleasures and displeasures, and you will be dispassionate, fearless, and tranquil. And this theme, Krishna is going to repeat again and again and again from different angles. So then Arjuna keeps asking about the Sthita Pragya, that how does that active yogi, how does he move about? And Krishna says that, yes, you'll be disinterested in the sense that you will not be attached or averse. So you'll not move toward anything external or away from it. What that means is that you will not run madly or blindly after sense pleasure. Neither will you be totally devastated when the external things don't go pleasantly, or they don't go your way, or they're not profitable and things like that. You will not be brokenhearted. That's the point. So he says you'll not make an effort to gain or lose anything because you will have no special affection or aversion for anything in the external world. Remember, Krishna is saying this is in reference to external world. Doesn't mean that you'll have no emotions. Doesn't mean that you'll have no desires. Doesn't mean that you'll be making efforts. It just means that you won't care for the external world. You'll be making all your efforts to make internal progress. You see? So how does he talk? The yogi, the Sthita Pragya. That because the yogi is fixed in intelligence, he will never, praise or criticize any success or failure. That's how he talks. In other words, he doesn't waste his breath in just lamenting, oh, this is so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. Or, wow, this is the way to do it, it's awesome, it's awesome. For external things, yes, let's bring it on, put a little more salt, put this, talk so much about it, get really into it, getting absorbed and using all your breath and all your words in just glorifying and, just promoting and praising objects of sense gratification. Sometimes we take a lot of pride in it. Man, if you want to enjoy proper dinner outside, this is the restaurant to go to, and you order these 5 things only. And when you order them, you tell them to put extra chili in this one and don't put too much salt in it. I mean, they're so expert. And we become very expert in this item of sense gratification. We spend hours talking about it, but they're selfish. They're meant for selfish sense pleasure. But the yogi does not engage in these kind of talks. They're waste of time, waste of breath, waste of energy. And they distract the mind, first and foremost. So then, ask Answer the last question, how does the yogi sit? In other words, how does he choose not to act? So Krishna gives the analogy. Anybody remember the analogy? It was the turtle, right? Kurma angani vasarvasha. That just like a turtle withdraws its limbs, right? Similarly, the yogi withdraws his senses when necessary. How is it possible to detach the senses from the desired objects? And Krishna now he gives the key. He starts really getting to the main key of it. That is impossible to do it just by stopping. You have to replace it with something better. Rasa varjam rasopyasya, the higher taste. So this concept of a higher taste is being introduced here now. Okay, so this is the key that makes all those things of a yogi, all those qualities of a yogi possible. Otherwise, it's not possible. You see, Krishna mentions up here, it is impossible. Don't just try to block it. I won't do this, I won't do that. No. Stop saying no, 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 and start saying yes, yes, yes. So what does that mean? Say no to the lower taste and say yes to the higher taste. Say no to something that is unhealthy, distracting, and degrading, and say yes to something that is uplifting, rejuvenating, energizing, and spiritually refreshing. That's something better. Okay, always go for the yes. Then the no's are easy to drop off. Okay, so how can we experience that higher pleasure, Krishna? You're talking about that higher pleasure. What is that? How? I don't know what you're talking about. Experience me, Krishna says. Look at me, I'm right here. Just look at my face. You just one look at my face, you'll forget all the useless things of the world. You know, once you get used to the pleasure that comes from relating with me, to being my friend, to being, to being my devotee, then all your other senses, all your distractive notions, they'll be taken care of, because when you experience me, the taste is way, way higher. That's genuine pleasure. So then we recapped the qualities of person in samadhi. If you attain practical intelligence, your main quality will be total disinterest in these distracting thoughts. Your deepest desires, the desires will be satisfied from your own soul, from within. Okay, your movements will neither be toward nor away. Okay, and you won't. So this is how does he speak? How does he move? How does he speak? Don't criticize or praise. Unnecessarily, your sense will pull away. So how does he sit? He pull away like a turtle. That's how he sits. And how is all this possible? By the higher taste. Where can I find this higher taste? In Krishna. That is the key. Krishna, personally, the person Krishna, Bhagavan, is the key.
That page is very important page.
Yeah, this right here.
Yes.
So I'll send you all the updated version of these slides, which has all this. Okay, so Arjuna says, okay, you mentioned that Krishna, you are the key. Right? You said it's impossible unless you have a higher taste. And I asked you where the higher taste comes from. And you say, you. Apart from you, Krishna, is there any other way to control the senses? Is there any other way to sit still? Krishna says, no. Simple answer. There is no other option. Clear. No. Period. You see a period there? The point, Krishna, the point here, the whole Bhagavad-gita is about Krishna. You know, a lot of people try to promote Bhagavad-gita to improve your health, to improve your business, to improve your management skills, to improve your relational skills. That's the whole point of the Gita, is to get you out of your laziness so you'll work hard and become successful. Karma niyavadikaraste. This promotes hard work. You know, no. The point of the Gita is Krishna, Bhagavan. Don't put him aside. He's the main point from the beginning, from the end, from the middle, and repeated in every chapter at the beginning and the end. No. Is there any other option other than Krishna? The answer is no. Simple. Why? So this is called the domino effect. Domino effect. You know these verses, right? Dhyayato.
Dhyayato vishayam
Yeah,
pumsa sangaste
that's what this is.
shupajayate.
Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat
Kamat
krodho
krodho
bijayate.
bijayate.
Krodhat
Krodhat
bhavati
bhavati
sammoha,
sammoha.
sammohat
Sammoha
smriti
smriti
vibhrama,
vibhrama.
smriti
Smriti
bhramshat
bhramshat
buddhinasha, buddhinashat
buddhinasha
pranashyati.
pranashyati.
Okay, these are the verses
Pranash.
62. And you can see the chain is, the reaction is drawn here in the painting also. So Krishna says, no, only me. If you are not connected with me, then what happens? You cannot escape this chain reaction or the domino effect that takes place when we roam around in the world. What he says, as soon as your senses experience any object, you will form an opinion of it. This is very nice, or this is not very nice. And we constantly come in touch with these objects. They cannot escape it. We're living in the world with these senses. This is very nice, it's not very nice. Something that seemed very nice to me, I will put my attention on it, dhyana. So again, dhyayato vishaya pumsam. Then from that dhyan, what happens? Sangha stesu pajayate. Then the desire to acquire it or to avoid it, something bad you avoid it. So the desire, so first the opinion of it comes and then the focus on it. And the desire to acquire it, I must have it. And then this desire leads eventually to anger and frustration. You might say, what do you mean? If I fulfill it and I get it, I will not be angry, I'll be happy. Isn't it? If I wanted a cookie and I got the cookie, I'm happy. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. But what Krishna is saying is eventually you'll get frustrated because that object of your sense gratification, you had ascribed some level of happiness to it and you enjoyed it. But the level of happiness that you ascribe to it, that object does not live up to it. It never lives up to it. And if it does for that moment, you'll want more again. Now, if you have the second cookie, it'll not be as nice as when you ate the first time. I just ate a cookie, I want to have another one. There's a law of diminishing returns. Pretty soon, there comes a limit how many cookies you can eat. And then you'll be frustrated. Oh, my stomach hurts now. I want to eat more cookies, but my stomach hurts. This particular scenario happens very often in my house with me during the quarantine, and especially cookies. And just an example. So the point here is that materialistic sense gratification leads to anger and frustration, whether you manage to fulfill it or it escaped your hands. When it escapes, you get immediately angry and frustrated. If you fulfill it, you also get angry and frustrated, right? What is that saying in Hindi about Dilli ka laddu?
Jo khaye.
Jo khaye wo pachtaye, jo na khaye wo bhi pachtaye, right? Something like that.
Yeah, you can ask Delhi people.
Who is from Delhi over here? You can say.
Hello. Yeah.
Right? What is this?
Yes, it is the same. Basically, शादी के लिए यूज होता है वो कि जो खाए वो भी पछता है, जो ना खाए वो भी पछता है.
So that's what Krishna is saying over here. Pachtaye, because you regret, we regret it. We regret missing it or we regret enjoying it. Both places regret only, you know, and they're stuck. To get married, man, I should have got married, seriously. That girl said yes to me, I said no to her 10, 20 years ago, and if I got married to her, I'd be so happy. Doesn't matter whether she said yes or no, whether you got married or stayed brahmachari, or whether that man said yes or no to you, or who knows, there's so many scenarios. It doesn't matter. Frustration will always be there, you see, because the focus is selfishness. It's impossible to satisfy completely, because why? There's no Krishna in the picture. See, Krishna, when he's in the picture, he can break this cycle at any point. Without Krishna, this cycle is inevitable. Then what happens after anger and frustration, right? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. So now anger inevitably leads to confusion, sammoha. Sammoha means complete bewilderment, right? Sammoha smriti vibhrama. Smriti means our memory, our smriti is what you remember. But remembrance of what? Remembrance of our principles. Remembrance, we forget our principles. Principles in what to do, what not to do, what's good, what's not good. You know, almost every story of a good man becoming a bad man gradually is because of this principle. What happens? He was a good man starting out, but he just somehow fell into crime, life of crime, or life of drug addiction or something like that. Then he got confused and he forgot that he used to have principles before. He always used to say no to drugs, but somehow he got hooked in, he forgot his principles. So the confusion causes us to forget our basic principles. And then when we forget principles, then we make one bad choice after another. We say one lie. To cover that one lie, you need to say another 20 lies. To cover those 20 lies, you need to say 20,000 lies. Yeah. And pretty soon you don't even yourself know what is true anymore. So unintelligent choices. And then you completely get ruined and you fall down into this material whirlpool of insanity. Okay, so this is Krishna is saying, without me, this chain reaction is pretty much inevitable. And this can take place over a matter of days, or over a matter of decades, or over a matter of multiple lifetimes also, where, I've made many bad choices in my past life, and that lack of intelligence, the stupidity, the drive to do the wrong thing, it's still carrying over in this life. Because that doesn't get wiped out. Our personality is driven by what we desired. See? So this is giving us a picture of, without Krishna, what our life eventually ends up being. Okay, so then Arjuna asked the next question. Okay, but see, this practical intelligence you're talking about, this buddhi yoga, it does involve interaction between senses and their objects. So this disastrous sequence that you talked about, this chain reaction, this domino effect, doesn't it also affect this practical yogi, this buddhi yogi? Doesn't it affect? Because see, you're saying, you be a buddhi yogi means you're working in the world. And you work in the world, you do face sense objects. You interact with the people. Not everybody is a devotee. Not everybody is a buddhi yogi. And you face all kinds of distractions. So doesn't it mess up a buddhi yogi also? It seems like a pretty dangerous chain reaction you're talking about. Krishna says no. Why? Because the buddhi yogi acts out of devotion. Every action they do is for devotion. The sincere effort to regulate your attractions and repulsions by fixing your senses on me, I should capitalize that me, is a devotional act which invokes divine compassion. You see, so now Krishna says that when you work with devotion to me, I give you a special gift that only I can give. That is divine compassion. The mat prasada. He says, uses what prasad. Prasad means the mercy or compassion. Prasad also means what we eat. That's the form of his mercy, actually. That's why we call it prasad. After we offer the bhoga, then Krishna looks at the bhoga, that food. You can see the pictures right there. The devotee is offering the food, and then Krishna glances at the devotee, and the affection and the devotion of the devotee gets infused, and Krishna then accepts that offering, and the divine compassion flows to that devotee, directly into the heart of the devotee. That divine compassion quickly destroys sorrow and distress. See, the happiness, right? It makes your happy heart still. Makes it still. It's not shaking out of insecurity anymore. It's not shaking because it's thirsting for some kind of satisfaction. No. The divine compassion flows into the heart. The taste you get when you engage in Krishna consciousness. The taste that you get even when you're discovering Krishna consciousness. Wow, this is pretty far out. I'm so glad I came across this whole Krishna conscious thing. Every question gets answered so clearly. The process itself is so tasteful, and it's not difficult to do, very colorful. And I'm feeling it in my heart. I'm feeling this joy that I've never felt before. This is that divine compassion that starts flowing from day one. It destroys the sorrow and distress in the heart. And when our sorrow and distress is destroyed, tongue twister. then your heart doesn't care for other things anymore. It remains still and steady in practical intelligence or buddhi yoga. And it protects you from that disastrous sequence of events. So Krishna is saying, look, there's no other choice for the higher taste. You can only get it from me. You turn to me, I'll give it to you. Okay? And then Arjuna says, okay, but is there any other choice? Krishna says, no. I'll tell you, you try it. You will always fall into that chain reaction, the trap. Okay? And then Arjuna says, yeah, but then if I'm doing this buddhi yoga, interacting with people, won't I fall into the trap? They said, no, because I'm there in the picture. When I'm there in the picture, you're acting out of devotion to me, and I'm always there to give you the flow of divine compassion. And that divine compassion will destroy your sorrow. You'll always be strong and happy. That happiness cannot be compared with anything else. And that protects you always from this sequence. Okay? So then Arjuna, okay, what is magical compassion you're talking about? Tell me more about that. I want to hear that. What is that? What kind of drug is that? That I'll be so addicted to it. Well, it's not a drug. It is something very healthy. Drugs generally not healthy. This is a nourishment. What is it? It is the constitutional joy that naturally results by experiencing me. Now you see, this is important. Constitutional means what? The joy that comes from within us. But that joy can only come from within us when we're connected to Krishna. You see, it's called it's like heart vibration, resonance. You heard of resonance? Resonance is a frequency. You heard of resonance?
Yes, resonating.
Yeah, resonate. But the term resonance comes in music. Say you have one string that's tuned in a guitar. There's like 4 strings, and you tune one string, and there's another guitar that's tuned exactly to the same tightness, the same frequency. If I pluck this one, the other guitar string starts vibrating even if you don't touch it, because you're on the same frequency. So it's like you're connected, you're sharing that frequency. When you're on the radio, this two-way radio, and you share the same frequency, then you can talk to each other. If you're on different frequencies, you can't hear each other. So my heart reverberates constitutionally only when I'm connecting to Krishna, because Krishna is the source of that joy. But that joy is it's allowing me to access the well of happiness in my heart. So it's a constitutional joy, means it's yours from your heart, but it can only come by looking at me. Why? Because we're eternally in love with Krishna. We've forgotten our love. That's all. This is key. So here you can see a picture of the joy. The picture, this is Vishnu Jana Swami. He's one of the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada. He's a very powerful preacher in Krishna consciousness. When he sang Krishna's holy name, you could just see the joy on his face. And everybody who heard him, they would feel just as much joy. Why? Because he was resonating with Krishna and causing everybody else's heart to resonate also. People who sing sincerely with Krishna, or who perform devotional service sincerely for Krishna, they affect their own heart and they affect the hearts of others. So that constitutional joy comes by experiencing Krishna, where our senses are not disengaged, but they're fully engaged. Our eyes like to see beautiful and colorful things, things that give our hearts joy. So you see the beautiful picture of Krishna, and we hear the songs, bhajans of Krishna, or name of Krishna being sung. Krishna is playing the flute over here, and all the beautiful flowers, and the cows, and the peacocks, and Vrindavan, and the fragrances of flowers offered to Krishna, incense, all that. It's a whole system to flood our senses with pure spiritual joy. Okay, we'll be wrapping up a couple of points. So without the inner joy of divine compassion, no one can hope to control the senses intelligently. And then again, Krishna says it's impossible. He's making the same point again. There's no other choice. There's no other options. Don't try to think that there's like third thing I'm going to tell you. Nothing. Without divine compassion, your intelligence cannot control your senses. And if the intelligence cannot control the senses, your heart will not experience itself. So you are blocking your own heart. There's a well of happiness, but that well is covered with the lid of selfishness. We open that lid, we can then extract the nectar and drink. If your heart cannot experience itself, you will not experience peace because you're thirsty and the well is closed. And if you cannot experience peace, you will never be happy. ashantasya kuta sukham. So nasti buddhi ayuktasya. That means your buddhi is not connected to me, without this, to my divine compassion. Nasti buddhi ayukta. Yukta means connected deeply. Ayukta means disconnected. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya na cha yuktasya bhavana na cha bhavayata shanti. You cannot experience peace. And without peace, ashantasya kuta sukham. Where is the question of happiness? Peace is required to enjoy even material happiness. What to speak of spiritual happiness? If you want to enjoy a nice movie and there's like all kinds of people beating drums and there's like jackhammer outside, you can't hear the movie. It's just like, you're not at peace. Let me enjoy the movie. If you want to enjoy a nice bowl of perfect ice cream, but there's sand in my socks that's itching me, like both my socks are filled with sand, it's just, ice cream is there, but I can't enjoy it because I'm not at peace. Similarly, spiritual happiness, you cannot access it unless there's peace. And peace is really not available without connecting to Krishna. So being yukta with Krishna. All right, I want to see how much farther. Okay, I'm going to stop over here. This is where we'll stop for today. And we can open up for questions, comments, discussion. All right, I'm going to unmute. You can unmute yourself if you would like to say. Minash, I see your hand is up. Is that the question you had? Or?
Okay, I'll start with a question on that. When we were reviewing the Samadhi slide, Samadhi in essence is a form of meditation, or it is meditation rather. How is there no reference to meditation in that?
Yes. Samadhi is one of the steps of yoga. Okay. So in yoga, every step is a form of meditation in one sense. So what does meditation mean? Meditation doesn't only mean that you sit and you look at your breath and look at the tip of your nose or something like that. That is one way of meditation. But meditation means absorption of consciousness. So Arjuna, when he was fighting the battlefield, with his consciousness absorbed in aiming to please Krishna, that is a form of meditation. So you're right, Samadhi is one of the stages of meditation, but meditation itself is this active meditation that Krishna is talking about here, this karma yoga, buddhi yoga. You see? So it's not that it's not meditation, it is meditation, you're absolutely right. But meditation doesn't only take one form. There are various kinds of meditation. And that's the point. Yeah? Good question though. Anyone else? Have any comments? It doesn't have to be a question, it could be a comment, something that you liked, something that struck you very well. Or... Yes, Vijayashri Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I had a comment from last session also. So like in the last session, you gave us the kind of it was more of like your slides were more of like a flow chart. Only if we could remember that flow chart in the times of our meltdown and crisis. So it's like, because when we are attending your class and then we remember it later, it seems like it's a very nice flow chart, and if only I could use it when I really need it.
The time of need.
So that it's really helpful.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. When we organize these thoughts and these teachings in charts and like, points, one by one point and sequence, then what happens? It's a little easier to remember them when we need them, But that's a good point. And it's important for us. We actually covered a lot of material, if you think about it. We covered a lot of material so far. We are already on verse 66, 67. And each verse is quite power-packed, But because I've super simplified, actually, if you read, it's kind of simplified. Okay, someone is great. But
the one point that I remember a lot, and I'm finding it helpful, especially at work, is the turtle analogy. So when something is going on at work, a lot of things are going on at work, like they're closing down a lot of sites, they're trying to put all the patients in one, and they're like a lot of stuff is going on. I said, oh, time to turn into the turtle. I said, I'm going in, I'm going to let everything calm down and then come out. So that's helping a lot. I was like, wow. It's wonderful that you can apply it. You really can apply it to your life. The main thing is you have to remember that the teaching, you have to remember it, and then and then it comes, and it's helping me, and I just wanted to share that.
I'm so happy to hear that you're applying it, the turtle analogy. And this analogy isn't something that someone else invented. It's Krishna's own words. He says kurmangani, just like a turtle. This is this is his analogy. Krishna gives a lot of, and analogies are powerful because immediately you can think, I'm going to be a turtle. You can even visualize yourself being a turtle, and you will feel the benefits. You'll feel the benefits of even visualizing yourself as a turtle. You felt it, right? You felt it, and I feel so good now.
Yeah.
I have a heart outside, and I'm going to stay in a nice warm space, at least for the time being. And then when it's time and safe, I'll come out.
Like a ninja.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Padma Mataji has a comment or a question. Go ahead, Padma.
Oh, sorry, I was just unmuting. So I wanted to share an experience that I had. I shared with Mansi Mataji last week. And I wanted to share because I have a question related to that, and what we are discussing today. So basically, last week, I had a dream, okay? And in that dream, something was going on. And in the middle of it, I went to the temple, and all I saw was everything was decorated in red, like the deities, the walls, drapes, everything was all red. So I felt good, and I shared it with Mansi Mataji in a message, and then she shared a picture of the deities at home. Those were all everything was decorated in red, and she said, surely it's a blessing from the divine. So I felt that gratitude that I was able to see, because every day I say the prayers and I say it with all my heart. So I was happy to go to the temple itself in the dream, and I was able to it was like so happy to see that red in dream and in real, right? So I felt that gratitude, but I didn't feel what you're saying today with that that maddening joy with which you experience. I didn't feel that. Am I missing something, or I'm lacking something in the way I feel, or I'm not fully realizing what's going on?
Are you talking about reverberating?
Sorry?
Not feeling the ecstasy that we described.
As ecstasy related to being the joy of Krishna consciousness. You will feel, Padma, for sure.
Okay.
As long as we are in the right path, we are doing what is prescribed. Thinking about Krishna, orienting ourselves in Krishna consciousness, and consciously watching what we're doing, making sure that our efforts are towards developing our mood, our lifestyle, our orientation in life towards Krishna consciousness. That joy, which is already in, which is covered, will open up, and you'll feel much more. You do feel it. Everybody who is here, they are feeling some happiness, and their hearts are vibrating with Krishna. It's just that we are not aware of it, and to the degree we practice, we will become aware of it.
Yeah, and exactly. You will feel it for sure.
For sure.
And especially when we engage more in kirtan, when you get together with devotees who are, singing with your whole heart, and you allow yourself to also sing with your whole heart joyfully, you will certainly feel the ecstasy.
Yeah.
The processes, and all the devotees who have gathered here can testify to that. I can testify to that. And also another thing is that even though we may not feel the nth degree yet, at least we know we felt a little bit. Like you felt excited that you saw the dream. That excitement is just the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg.
But please make that memory locked in your
in your
heart.
heart, because you might need to come to it.
That's
Is
very,
that something that I'm going to see? Like, is that strong emotion to see at the end of life? What you were discussing?
Absolutely, because it's connected to Krishna and it caused a lot of excitement to you, and it is very useful. And this is part of your love for Krishna. It's not, there's nobody coming between you and Krishna in this scenario. There's Krishna, there's you and your heart dancing with joy, So it's a good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a point hand up from Kinjal Mataji. Yeah, go ahead. No, you muted yourself again.
unmuted.
Yeah.
Can you explain more, like, because Krishna said without divine compassion your intelligence cannot control your senses. So what kind of divine compassion what we have every day so we can control our senses?
Very good question. Go to the next slide.
This one, right?
It's impossible without divine compassion.
So what Arjuna is saying, is it possible to control senses without this divine compassion? And Krishna says, no, it's not possible. Then what is this divine compassion you're talking about, right? Is that your question, right? What is?
Yes, like what we apply every day.
Yes. So divine compassion is available immediately to anybody who even begins to start the process of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so what is this process of Krishna consciousness you're talking about? Process of Krishna consciousness starts the flow of divine compassion immediately. The process includes doing things that are very favorable to Krishna, to Krishna consciousness. Giving up things that are unfavorable. Always remembering that Krishna is there to protect me. Krishna is my only maintainer. Protection and maintenance are two different things. Maintenance means everything is coming from Krishna, right? And a sense of belonging, that I belong to Krishna and Krishna belongs to me. So these are components of what we call surrender. So when we practice thinking about this relationship with Krishna, when we practice offering everything we eat to Krishna, when we practice not eating anything that is not offered to Krishna, that is not offerable to Krishna, when we practice controlling our anger, not being mean to anybody, these are when we practice the divine qualities more and more, and we diminish our lower qualities more and more, then to that degree, the divine compassion flows. See, and Krishna he says a verse later on, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. So to the degree one comes closer to me, to that degree I reciprocate with the divine compassion. You see. So what does that mean for me practically today? Right? That's your question. Today, how can I increase my degree of divine compassion that's flowing to me? And how is that going to control my senses? So the examples that we've given is, the lower taste that we have, sometimes very hard to give them up. So let us increase the quality and quantity of the higher taste objects. If I have a lower taste of listening to non-Krishna conscious things, talks or music or things like that, then let me listen to higher quality Krishna conscious things more. Let me develop a taste for it. And if I don't have much of a taste for it, let me find somebody who has a taste for it and just hang out with her or him and talk more. And then by spending time with someone who has that taste, we develop the taste. And when we develop the taste, then more divine compassion flows. When more divine compassion flows, then it's easier to control our senses. Then all of a sudden you'll find that I don't like that thing that I used to be addicted to. I used to be addicted to that particular kind of music, which is not Krishna conscious, but now I'm addicted to Krishna conscious music. And that thing is like, it repels me now. Things that I used to be addicted to smoking, but now when I think about smoking, I want to throw up. Like those kind of things. So
yeah, that repel word is very good used.
Yeah.
Because in any situation, whether it be music that is there, whether it's the people that you associate with, the quality of the talk that we do, whether it's the actions that we perform and the actions that we do as a reaction with the situation, that all changes and it repels the unwanted things out and the necessary things in.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for asking. That's a good question, because it's always best to constantly be thinking, how is it going to apply to me? Otherwise it becomes theoretical, So all these questions that are coming up, they're all very practical questions. That means we want to apply, we want to start applying it and using this in our life. Yeah. Any other comments? Let me see. Padma Mataji, you have another one? Or?
Yeah, I just have a question about the highest state of thinking that we were just discussing about. So we all are living practical life. We have family, we are married, we have children, we have a house, car. All these things are really materialistic if you start thinking about it, right? So how do we connect to going to that higher state? Is it really just like giving up or sacrificing everything, that's the only thing? Or even while living this practical life, can we achieve that state?
Yeah, good question. In fact, this is the same question that Arjuna asks. Same question that Arjuna asks. That Krishna is saying this higher life is buddhi yoga. It sounds to me like I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm supposed to sit down, meditate, focus, give up my chariot, whatever chariot brand it is. It's Audi or whatever. This is our chariots, modern day chariots, or my palace. Of course, even if I'm living in a small 3-bedroom house, and for me it's my palace. So my palace, my chariot, all these things, am I going to give them up and go to the forest, Krishna, and meditate? Krishna says, no, that's not what I meant. I meant is that you understand the spiritual purpose of your existence. And while living in your palace, while performing your job, your career, Arjuna, you have a career. You have to fulfill your career duties. You have a wife, you have children, and you have these horses and chariots, and you have to deal with everything. But deal with it in such a way that you utilize it to serve me. Utilize everything that you have in serving Krishna. Then instead of trying to pull yourself out of your home situation or your career situation and focus on Krishna, you stay there and pull Krishna into that situation. That's what Krishna is saying. Pull me into your situation. Don't pull yourself out of your situation, because actually it's not possible. Because when you pull yourself out of one situation, that other situation is also a situation only. You go to forest, you deal with forest things. Where's the firewood? What am I going to cook? I didn't find any roots today. Or there's a potato, then I'm going to roast. It's the same thing. It's just different flavor of, you call detachment. You cannot, and this exact point Krishna will bring up in just a few verses. Actually in chapter 3. Even your own body, you cannot sustain it without doing some work. So whether you're a beggar, or you've given things up and you're a mendicant, or you're living in the forest, or you're only doing meditation, these other things will always remain. You always need to eat. You always be thinking something. You'll be interacting with some person or other. If not any family members, when you go door to door, you'll be begging, and you'll talk to those people you're begging from also. So you cannot avoid this interaction. You cannot avoid absorption. You cannot avoid the world. So stay where you are. Pull me into your situation. Your car. Use your car for my purpose only. Don't take your car and go to the liquor store. No, that is not for my purpose. That's some destructive. Use your car to go to the grocery store, buy fresh vegetables, okay? Bring them to your house, which is your house, and then use your knife, which is your knife, cut it, put it in your pot, which is your pot. But now consider everything. This is my pot. This is Krishna's pot. This is Krishna's knife. This is Krishna's house. How do you do that? Putting a picture of Krishna. This is Krishna's house. Krishna, this is your house. Krishna, this sabji I made for you, and the dal and roti, everything I made. I'm not going to eat it. You are going to eat it first. I'm going to offer to you. This is your house. You are the boss. So this is how you pull Krishna into our situation. I've used my car. I've used my money to buy the groceries. My money came from my job. Okay. The heating bill is being paid from my job. This heat, Krishna, is for you, for your comfort. We are just your servants taking care of you. Now, the cool thing about being Krishna's servant is you'll enjoy the same standard of living that Krishna is enjoying. The servant enjoys the same standard of living as the master. The servant who lives in the house of the richest man, he watches the big, nice screen TV, the same TV the rich man is watching. If a rich man is spending more time outside the house, the servant enjoys more. You see, so if you are a servant of Krishna, you'll enjoy the standard of Krishna. So enjoyment is a byproduct, but because your consciousness is always absorbing, trying to please Krishna, two things happen. You recognize these things are not mine. And when they're not yours, then the stress also attached to them is not there. If they're gone, it wasn't mine, it's Krishna's. So a lot of good things come out of making your life Krishna conscious. So you don't need to leave your situation. It's not possible to leave your situation. So pull Krishna into every aspect of your situation. Think of ways where I can engage my intelligence in bringing Krishna into the situation. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. You see, that's how it works.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Great questions. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done with the time. We can do a little bit of kirtan, if that's okay. Oh, careful. Yeah, are you okay, Madhav?
I'm so good.
All right, great. Madhav is here to lead us in kirtan.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Oh, by the way, this Saturday at 1 p.m., please join the Zoom channel. We have His Holiness Sachinandan Swami connecting from Germany. And he's our guru. He's Mansi Ganga's spiritual master, Diksha spiritual master, and he rarely comes to America, so it's a real treat. And we'll be hosting him on our channel. So please join the Saturday market, 1 p.m. All right?
In the afternoon.
Yeah, 1 p.m. Yep. Okay.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes.
I was like, मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा prepare किया है आपसे ये question पूछने के लिए. Okay. So my question is, see, now we are married, and what I feel is we have n number of pensions, right? Whether it is given by friends or it can be family as well, right? So how to get rid of that? I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, see, and my nature is like I just keep on thinking of any kind of problem it is, right? I tried my best to get rid of those tensions, but it's very difficult. Even if I chant, I am not able to get rid of those tensions. So now I have no clue what to do.
That is the $1 million question. Very good question, Monali. Very difficult question to answer, and even more difficult to implement, isn't it? I mean, how much?
Yes, it's very difficult.
I read it already. Offer prasadam, eat it. I ate enough. What is the solution? Okay, so the solution, there's a couple of things. One is to reflect very deeply every day. Make it a daily practice to wake up in the morning and reflect deeply on the futility of material existence. It's very helpful. Ultimately, look, 10 years from now, we'll all be laughing about this. Then why don't I laugh about it right now? Why am I letting it increase my blood pressure so much that I'll look older than I even look? What is the point? Worrying has never helped anybody. Worrying slows down the intelligence. Sometimes we think if I worry about it, I'll come up with a solution. Worrying is not what comes up with a solution. Worry slows down the intelligence. So first reflect on the futility, uselessness of the situation. Second, recognize that worrying aspect does not help in any way other than ruining the body and making negativity in the whole environment, in my house, and then I'll snap at whoever's living with me. So third, recognize that maybe Krishna has put me in this situation as a test to see where I am at, how I'll respond. And there's multiple ways to respond to anything. You know that. You know what the choices are. I can completely lose it and get angry, snap at my husband or snap at my friends. Or I can let it be. It's okay. Chalta hai, hota hai, it's okay. Smile about it. Or I can find ways to make it a win-win situation. So one is a mode of ignorance. let it be, it's okay. I'm just going to sleep. Forget it doesn't even exist. It's more ignorance. Mode of passion is like, you get angry, or sometimes anger is more of ignorance also. Or passion means I'm going to just go them and tell them exactly what to do because I'm the boss. I'm smarter than you. Sometimes that backfires also. Mode of goodness means be at peace and try to find win-win situations. If someone's been mean to me, find ways where you can resolve the situation. And sometimes the best solution is to distance yourself. We're practicing all right now, social distancing. You can do social distancing even when there's no virus. Just stay away from certain people. You have to figure that out yourself. But the point is,
stay
there's always
away from that negativity,
negative energy.
The scenarios that are giving you anxiety. You don't want to push yourself into it, but at the same time, try to associate with gentle, peace, loving people or situations or scenarios where it doesn't put you in the state of anxiety.
But it's a good question. Is why I say it's difficult, because the modes of nature are very deeply rooted in our heart. If I'm a very strongly mode of passion, mode of ignorance kind of person, then my gut reaction, reflex reaction will reflect that I'm more passion, ignorance. If I'm more peaceful and more intelligent, deep thinker, my immediate reaction will be a little bit different. So how will I make myself more in the mode of goodness? So the mode of goodness is something that we need to cultivate. Cultivation takes time, takes repetition, takes development of good habits, and giving up of bad habits. Habits doesn't just mean external things, also means how we think, habits of thinking, thought patterns and processes. So if we hang out more with people who are positive, we tend to think more like people who are positive. If we hang out with people who are more upset, angry all the time, complaining, and that's also somewhat satisfying, because they're complaining, they're also venting. So I learn how to vent. Maybe I learn a few more bad words also. Sometimes saying bad words makes us feel good, but that is a very mode of ignorance of doing it. We never do that, right? But we like to do it sometimes because we think, it felt so good doing it. So what I'm saying is there are positive ways and the negative ways to habits to develop. So as we develop habits, then we realize, after 10 years of practice, it's easier now for me to deal with that same scenario. 10 years before, I would have totally blown my head. Today, nothing. It doesn't bother me at all. Like that. So it's a cultivation. All right?
Thank you.
That's a big question. Yes. Thank you. Oh, you got this? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Brande, Hari Bol. So thank you all very much for joining. Please make it a point to join on Saturday afternoon on that link. Not the same link, but there's a separate link. We'll be sending that out if you don't have it. It's a regular, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm Paisha. Fluid.
I think he wants to sing something.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, let him sing it. Let him sing it.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.
Hari Bol. How are you?
Fine. Good to see you.
Yeah, he doesn't let me in, so.
Like, yes.
She only lets you
I've been taking care of everything. I'm doing it, he's taking 50%.
Yes, mercy flows. Yes.
Krishna says effort counts, right? I said, as Krishna says, effort is all that counts. We need effort.
See, my hair got so long now, it's coming my eyes. Madhav needs a haircut. Yes. Tomorrow also we have Kirtan. There's Kirtan going on Facebook. It's called Holy Name. So tomorrow we're singing house at 5 o'clock.
What thing, Prabhu?
On Facebook, if you look for Festival of Holy Name,
Yeah.
It's ongoing. It's like 24-hour Kirtan. Different families are doing Kirtan. So tomorrow there's a lot of Kirtan. So search for it on YouTube, Facebook tomorrow.
Yes.
There's some famous singers.
Swami Maharaj, Loknath Maharaj, then
Madhava
Madhava
Prabhu.
Prabhu, then Badahari Prabhu. They all are in different countries and they'll all sing. But tomorrow they'll all sing one day lined up.
So if you're on Facebook, you can look it up. Festival of Holy Name.
Okay.
Festival of Holy Name. You see. So our slot is at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. tomorrow. If you can join.
Okay. Okay, sure, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.